The grand final, the grandest stage of all between two incredibly grand teams. Melbourne City and Sydney FC, both four-time champions of the Liberty A-League. Who will claim the title for a fifth time? Amy Park getting ready to break what at least should be a record in Victoria, perhaps something to challenge the grand final record for the entire Liberty A-League. Melbourne City and Sydney FC meeting for the fourth time in 16 grand finals. These two know so much about the pointy end. A couple of ambassadors there with the trophy. Nat Tobin, the injured skipper of Sydney FC, who was hoisting that very trophy this time last season, and former Melbourne Victory and Melbourne City goalkeeper and former Matilda, Brianna Davey there, bringing out the trophy for this one. The two combatants ready to go head-to-head. Davey was in goal in the 2016 grand final when Melbourne City won the first of three head-to-head against Sydney FC. Former Matilda, Grace Gill, joins me here. We see the teams in the Isuzu Ute tunnel cam. Grace, you've been here as a player for Canberra United a couple of times in your career. What's going through the head before you walk out onto the arena?
Well, good afternoon, Teo, and here we are, the culmination of the entire season. It's nerves, it's excitement, it's trying to harness all of those into one 90-minute performance and get around your team and produce the best possible game you've done so all season.
Fantastic to see there. Rebecca Stott and Melissa Barbieri couldn't help but give a hug to Brie Davey on the way past, and similarly, high fives for Nat Tobin. She heads down the tunnel, the combatants come out. Melbourne City as the home team get to wear their city blue. Sydney FC in their aquamarine kit, inspired by the Sydney Harbour. They will be hoping to win a grand final at Amy Park for the first time since 2013. Rebecca Stott, the Melbourne City captain, next to Melissa Barbieri, who at long last, at age 44, gets to play in an A-League Women's Grand Final for the very first time in her storied career. Princess Sabini, an 8th grand final today. She breaks the record held by Ivy Lewick and former teammate Teresa Polias, along with the men's record held by Alex Wilkinson, also a former Sydney FC player. 8 grand finals at the age of just 24. Amy surface has been watered before kickoff. It's expected to be firm but quick, and that might suit both teams. Sydney FC with their speedsters on the counter-attack like Courtney Vine, and Melbourne City favouring more of a possession-dominant approach. It'll be such an interesting contrast in styles between the two teams. They had two very different games during the season. They drew 0-0 on February the 10th, but on November the 26th, City raced to a 3-0 lead before Sydney FC came back to lose 3-2 and had plenty of opportunities even to bring that level for a 3-3 draw. So a couple of very intriguing matches in the form line. Who knows which direction it'll lead us today. So both teams have had the team photos taken. Now it's time for one last huddle up, one last message, and then they will sort things out on the grass. Let's take a look at how Melbourne City line up. Two changes. Melissa Barbieri is in due to a quad injury for the Brazilian goalkeeper Barbara, who is out completely. Emily Shields, the 34-year-old, has been brought out of retirement to sit on the bench. The bench is where the only other change takes place for Melbourne City. Injured 15-year-old Shelby McMahon drops out for Tian McKenna, who joins sister Letitia amongst the substitutes. Sydney FC have been completely unchanged for the last two games. The second leg, a 1-1 draw against Central Coast in the semi-final, enough to get them through to the decider 2-1 on aggregate. However, it is two different changes from when the teams last met in February. Kirsty Fenton and Maddie Caspers both ruled out of this grand final, along with Fiona Wirtz, who was unable to make her case with a late dash at selection. Delivering today's match ball is the Isuzu Mini D-Max. Oh no, don't stall at us. Lift, Isuzu, lift. Here we go. And out comes the match ball, delivered by the Isuzu Mini D-Max. That match ball is being delivered to our central referee, Casey Rybelt, who takes charge of her third A-League Women's Grand Final, including last year's decider. Assistants will be Emma Kotzbeck and Maggie Price. Fourth official, Georgia Ghirardello. And fifth official, Paola Orlandi. There is no VAR in the Liberty A-League. Melissa Barbieri was an unused sub in the 2020 Grand Final, played behind closed doors due to COVID right here at Amy Park. Look how fired up she is. This is the goalkeeper who played against the USA in the 2015 World Cup opener at late notice after a surprise selection. This is nothing new to Bubs. At the other end, Jada Wyman, 10 clean sheets. The best of the goalkeepers in that stat this season. She'll be hoping to protect that net and deliver Sydney FC a 5th Liberty A-League Championship. So the countdown is on to kick off in the 2024 Liberty A-League Grand Final. And Sydney FC away from home at Amy Park start against Melbourne City. The battle for number 5, and Courtney Vine has her say in the opening seconds, winning an early foul. Former Matilda Grace Gill, Courtney Vine expecting to be one of the main protagonists today.
Well, she'll be exactly that. Thank you. Good afternoon, Teo. And what a matchup between these two teams. What a blistering start that is from Sydney FC, launching the ball into their own attacking half.
So a wide free kick. Think back to last season's Grand Final, the earliest goal in Grand Final history, a header by Madison Haley on the end of a corner from Mackenzie Hawkesby. Haley's not here, Hawkesby is, and she's on delivery with this early free kick. In it swings, Taylor Otto, the American, gets it away. As far as Margot Chevet hooked on, Jordan Thompson, great save! Melissa Barbieri denies the American defender Thompson, and that would have been the fastest Grand Final goal with just 59 seconds on the clock.
Well, it was a pretty helpful flick over the head there from Margot Chevet, and Jordan Thompson found herself in a very handy position. Steely focus from the experienced Barbieri, and that is a top draw save.
Taylor Otto. Really see a teammate on with that pass, straight to Chevet. Otto keen to make amends, dispossesses Shay Holman. Has Daniela Garlich join in, and then Holman left to boot in. And Garlich, against her fellow young Matilda's teammate, is able to draw a foul.
Very early doors here. The first 5 minutes, the first two, Sydney knocking on the door, asking questions, forcing saves out of Melissa Barbieri. City quite composed, haven't been shaken by that fiery start we saw from Sydney.
Couple of aerial targets for City to aim for. Hannah Wilkinson, the most obvious one. Kiwi striker, 10 in 22 this season. 30 in 50 in her A-League career, though. A great strike rate. And Taylor Otto also has plenty of height about her. 2 goals this season. She moved to Australia, previously playing for Glasgow Celtic in Scotland. Long discussion here. Amina Rekic, the left footer, and Rihanna Polisina, who's pretty good on both feet, but nominally a right footer. And it looks as though Polisina has won the discussion. Puts it into the direction of Wilkinson, and a good save by Wyman. Otto, and now Polisina, and this time wide of the target, but both keepers have already had a big statement, and you can see Wyman's turn to pump herself up.
Well, it's an entertaining start, isn't it? This discussion around the free kick, I think, would have been, if they didn't follow Ekic on that right-hand side, the delivery resulted from the ball in from Polisina, which was a good one.
Playing as a poacher in attack, scoring forward. She's on the right wing here, making good ground against Lemon. Garlich twisting and turning and finding an opening. And the shot, well, it didn't have a huge amount of power, but it's still got a bobble out of Jada Wyman. But the 17-year-old, Daniela Garlich,
she's a special player. Attracted 2-3 Sydney FC defenders, still manages to swerve her way out of danger.
Wyman managing the clock here to prevent Melbourne City having any more say in this first 45, and as the ball loops down in front of the City bench, they're going to need to rely on a bit of generosity from the referee here, because the 1 minute of additional time is up. Stott. And that will do for the first half. And a game that started with a flurry of attacking and close-range saves has now become very much a tug-of-war where neither side will give a centimetre. Lots to ponder in the half-time talk for both teams. The question is, are we going to play 90 or 120 today? Because at half-time, it's Melbourne City 0, Sydney FC 0. Melbourne City huddling up one last time before they kick off the second half of this scoreless grand final to date. Suzu Mini D-Max is back out for the second half, pulling double duty, the D-Max. Great to see Sophie Harding acknowledged as the Dolan medalist. Player of the season. Western Sydney Wanderers fell agonisingly short of making the top 6. They needed just a draw. And they lost in the final round of the season. That left the door open for Newcastle, and the rest was history. So the start of the second half of this grand final, Jada Wyman and Melissa Barbieri were busy in the first 10 minutes, and then it became a real midfield battle thereafter. Still waiting on the first goal to break the deadlock between these two teams. Two incredibly determined goalkeepers, making sure it's not them that concedes. And that whistle gets us underway at the start of the second half of the 2024 Liberty A-League Grand Final. Melbourne City and Sydney FC still yet to find the back of the net. No substitutions for either team at half-time, and the only card in the first half was to Julia Grosso, number 7, at left back for Melbourne City. Grace Gill, as you rejoin me in the commentary box. Firstly, just a word on Sophie Harding winning the Dolan medal.
Well, it was a fantastic season from Harding, wasn't it, for the Western Sydney Wanderers, finding the back of the net and having a breakout season by her standard too. So a very big congratulations to Harding. And you can see as well what it meant to her at half-time.
Margot Chevet has continued to be a midfield wrecking ball for Sydney FC in this game. And again, was hefty in the challenge there, able to win possession back for the visiting team. Gullich. Pass slides on, Amina Rekic twists away from Tumeth. And the shot's blocked. Good recovery by McLean and Tumeth. Now Rekic ushered down to the corner. Leah Davidson. Julia Grosso. Riley Henry now. Very busy in that first half. Daniela Garlich, a rare control error under the feet. Sabini back helping out. Now Chevet popped up to halfway. And Rebecca Stott consolidates possession. There's Ante Juric. How long until he turns to his bench? Shay Connors was a game changer in the first leg of the semi-final against the Central Coast. Lucy Johnson, Taylor Ray, Kaylee Talon-Haneker, and the backup keeper Talia Franco there.
From City's defensive line through to their midfield. The field just really getting stretched early into this second half.
Light starting to take over on an overcast day at Amy Park, 15 degrees at half-time. Here's a cross in now, and Jada Wyman is down to the ball. Ekic just stuck behind a couple of defensive opponents. So an uncontested claim for the goalkeeper.
She's toiled really hard this afternoon, Daniela Garlich, and the idea of the delivery was the right one.
Sydney FC have connected just 15 passes in their attacking half. Melbourne City now ticking past 120. Can they turn territorial dominance, though, into shots on goal? Here's Taylor Otto, the defender getting forward. Otto bursting into the box. Otto! I guess when you're standing in defence, watching the passing going around without anyone shooting, Otto decided, give me a go. He set it wide.
It's not a bad option either, just as mentioned. Sometimes varying it up, getting a shot away, it puts the goalkeeper on notice, it puts the defence on notice.
Very different approach, Teo, from both squads during that break in play. Melbourne City stayed in the centre around their player who was down injured. Sydney FC, on the other hand, came over. They formed a huddle around Ante Juric, who gave them some fresh instructions. Every single member of the Sydney FC squad was here while they waited for Shay Connor's substitution to be made, and Shay has just entered the fray. She looked really impressive when she came on at Leichhardt Oval last week. She's got pace to burn, and she provides Sydney FC with another outlet in attack.
And with Princess Sabini making way, the captain's armband has found its way over to Mackenzie Hawkesby. Thank you, Neve. And there's Hawkesby now, just readjusting that yellow captain's armband around the left sleeve. Grace, what do you make of the sub? Connors on for Rabini. We saw it work to great effect in the first leg of the semi-final when Sydney beat the Central Coast.
Yeah, really unsurprised to see Shay Connors substituted on. She's got just that extra gear of pace. Testing the back line, we saw her do exactly that against the Central Coast Mariners. Just a little more dynamic. Princess Sabini plays a really good role, coming to protect the ball and receive it to feet. Shay Connors, on the other hand, she looks for the ball over the top, she looks for the ball in behind, and if City continue to press forward and have a lot of contained possession, one thing is for sure, and that's going to be the amount of space in behind their defensive line.
And immediately you can see the effect Connors has had there with the press. Fresh legs, new energy. But she's still yet to score a first goal in Sydney FC colours. Moving down from the Brisbane Roar this season, this will be appearance number 15. No better time to score a first goal for Sydney than a grand final. Here's Policina as Melbourne City probe the other end, and Charlotte McLean has been so reliable today and hooks the ball out to safety once more. Sabini icing up the hamstring there. See Margot Chevet, who's already left the game 2 seats down. Here's Indiana Dos Santos. Connors calling for a ball over the top. It's a great pass from Dos Santos. Connors! Sydney FC lead in the grand final! And Shay Connors, magic off the bench! And what an assist to play her in from 16-year-old Indiana Dos Santos! Is that the goal that wins Sydney? Number 5.
Well, there's the energy, there's the impact we knew Shay Connors would provide. And on the Harvey Norman replay, it's a delightful assist from Indy Dos Santos. The run off the shoulder of her defender, the first time finish from Connors, the celebration. Sydney FC take the lead. And boy, when they score first, can they hold on to a lead?
Great finish, and Grace, you described the function of Shay Connors and how she would change this Sydney attack to perfection moments later, breaking into space, and where she hasn't had the shooting boots on this season, at long last, first goal since March of last year. Just trying to dink it forward, regardless of where it goes. Now with maybe a bit more direction at the feet of Ekic. Chimeth, the stand-up tackle, Policina followed in. Garlich. Taken to ground by Chimeth. And it will be a yellow card and some acrimony and afters. Policina has been a club teammate of Chimeth in the past, but in the heat of battle, friendships are set aside.
Yeah, it was a poor challenge by Chimeth, just pulling Garlich to the ground. Undeniably a yellow card. Frustrations just bringing over. Team leaders quick just to intervene and not allow that to boil over into anything further. It's a City free kick in a really good position.
Tori Chimeth, first Sydney FC player in the book, joins Julia Grosso of Melbourne City. No Hannah Wilkinson to aim for at these set pieces anymore. All about the delivery for Amina Ekic then. Ekic driving to the penalty spot, all Sydney FC at the fall of the ball. Policina, stop. Trying to force it through, it took a touch off McLean. Ekic on the tight angle! And now McKenna the sub! Deflected out for a corner. Thrilling stuff, desperate defending, and Sydney FC know how important that goal line stand was.
We saw the impact of Connors, the substitute. Almost saw the same in the Tisha McKenna, goal line clearance.
No time wasted over the corner. Oh, first header there for Stott, but glanced it well wide of the target, didn't make great contact.
Well, pressure building. This is a ball that fell really kindly to Amina Ekic. Clever vision, a good first touch from McKenna. And how about that glance-in header, steering that over the crossbar.
Think about the finish line. Henry. Block tackle sends the ball high. Hughes and Holman and Dos Santos all buzzing at the fall. Garlich. And now McKenna. A teasing cross. Polisina! And where last week she found the corner against Newcastle, this week it's sailing over the crossbar.
But she knows the chances are building for Melbourne City. The pressure, the tension is palpable. And City, for all their possession, for all their dominance, things are just starting to open up. It was a strong pull from Jada Wyman, but the shot is always rising from Polisina.
Garlich, Polisina, Chubeth came through and won the ball. Casey Rybelt looks at the watch. Sydney FC, top of the mountain. A fifth championship for the Sky Blues. The best of 2023-24. And now, without doubt, without dispute, the best in the Liberty A-League, both this season and in its history. The entire squad explodes off the bench. Congratulations for Jada Wyman. Congratulations for this heroic defence that stood tall and did not concede under 99 minutes of examination. Shay Connors, her first and only goal for Sydney FC, but it is absolutely priceless. It is the winning goal in a grand final. And for Melbourne City, a long off-season wondering what could have been is in the offing. Ante Juric does it again. His decorated resume will have another trophy. And Charlotte McLean, one of the stars that made sure that Sydney FC set up a final score of Melbourne City 0, Sydney FC 1.
Congratulations to the